And good afternoon, UTRGV. You're listening to All In with Ali. Let's talk some sports here at the top of the hour from our Edinburgh studio. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And let's start because NFL free agency just started from now until Wednesday at 3. Teams are free to negotiate and sign free agents, and we've already had a flood of free agency news come in. Starting with the best QB, I think, in the free agency class is off the board now. Sam Darnold receiving $100 million to play now for the Seattle Seahawks. This comes, of course, after the Seahawks traded Geno Smith to the Raiders. So it looks like they were clearing room and they were going to end up signing Darnold after all. But this also comes after the Seahawks traded DK Metcalf to the Steelers. But no, this is I like this move for Seattle. Would have been great to pair him with DK Metcalf, but they sent him over to Pittsburgh. And speaking of which, yep, they sent DK Metcalf over to the Steelers. But the question is, I think, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's going to be throwing to DK Metcalf? Because right now, if you're Pittsburgh, you have Metcalf, you have Pickens at 1 and 2 for your wide receiver spot, but who's going to throw to him? Sam Darnold's off the board. You can't go get him. Justin Fields just went to the Jets with a 2-year deal, so he's not available. So who's it going to be? They're probably going to have to either trade for a quarterback or they're going to have to enlist the services of Aaron Rodgers or bring back Russell Wilson. Sounds like it's another setup for another 9-8 wild card loss season for the Steelers, but I like that they picked up DK Metcalf, but that's the real issue, I think, in Pittsburgh. Who's going to be throwing to him? Who's going to throw to him? And for Pittsburgh's sake, they better figure that out sooner rather than later, because why'd you go trade for an elite wide receiver to pair alongside Pickens if you don't know who's going to be throwing to him in the first place? It's either that or they're going to have to go in and go into the draft to find a quarterback, which as of right now, their pick is not till the 21st. So will they be able to find a quarterback at 21? Are they going to trade up? What's the move here if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's my biggest question, and that's probably going to be answered a bit further down the line when the new league season starts on Wednesday. Some more big news, a couple of big extensions to tell you about. First off, Josh Allen, 6 years, $330 million. I mean, wow. Like, Josh Allen's played really well. He just coming off an MVP season, and a really close game, which I believe would have had a couple calls gone the Bills' way. They would have at least been in the Super Bowl. But it's another 6 years, $330 million for Josh Allen, $250 million of which is guaranteed. So really nice payday for him. And looks like the Bills have locked up their QB1 for another 6 years. Another extension, Myles Garrett signing a huge deal, over $40 million a year, signing for 4 years, $123.5 million. This comes, of course, after Myles Garrett requested a trade. He wanted to go to a contender, but as soon as the big deal was promised, he took it. I think any of us would. Any of us would, but another 4 years in Cleveland for Myles Garrett. Another move, Davante Adams will be signing after he got cut by the Jets earlier, is now going to be a member of the Los Angeles Rams. This comes, of course, after Cooper Kupp is likely to be traded this offseason, so they're going to have Davante Adams alongside Puka Nacua. And wherever Cooper Kupp ends up, it's been hinted he's going to be on the trade block this offseason. So the Rams already know more or less where they're going at wide receiver 1 and 2. So that's really what this move signals to me. And a trade that just got reported. Adam Schefter reported that Laremy Tunsil, all pro guard for the Houston Texans, just got traded to the Washington Commanders. Washington receives Laremy Tunsil and a 2025 fourth round draft pick. Texans receive 4 draft picks, 2 this year, a third and a seventh, and a second and a fourth for the next draft. So I don't know. As a Texans fan, I know that Laremy Tunsil's been good, but he's had his penalty issues. He gets a chance to sort of reset in a new situation, and the Texans also get about $40 million off the books over the next 2 years. So there's that aspect of it, but also the bevy of draft picks that the Texans just received for him. There's some good O-linemen in this class, so I hope that Caserio knows what he's doing when it comes to the draft or when it comes to finding offensive line help in free agency, because notably the most recognizable name on the offensive line over the last few years was Laremy Tunsil. Now that he's playing for Washington, Caserio's got to have a plan, which so far with the moves that he's made over the last couple of years, I trust that he knows what he's doing, but hopefully it all ends up for the best. Now let's move on. Let's move on to the NBA. Nuggets and the Thunder face off tonight. This is of course going to be a battle of 2 MVP candidates between Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic. Who's going to win the MVP this year? Well, if I had to choose, I would say Nikola Jokic should be the MVP this year. I mean, what he's been doing all season is just historic. He's a great scorer, but he's third in the league in points per game, second in assists per game, and third in rebounds per game. But to be second behind Trae Young in assists per game as a center, it's just kind of indicates how well he's been playing this year. And then not just that, he's coming off of the very first 30-20-20 triple-double in NBA history. I mean, in that game, he was just incredible. All the way up to the third quarter, he got his triple-double in the third quarter, and after he got that triple-double, he also got another triple-double in that game as well. So basically, if you split up his game from the first quarter onto the third, and then from the third on towards the end, he'd had 2 triple-doubles essentially in one game. I mean, my God, he's been incredible. And then on the other side of the coin is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which, don't get me wrong, Shai's been playing great. And he leads the league in points per game, yes. Most of his points, let's be real, most of his points are scored from the free throw line. Average Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's stat line would be 35 points on like at least 20 free throws. He's great at drawing fouls and getting to the line, and that sort of really helps pad it a bit. But I think with the way Jokic has been playing and the historic numbers he's put up, he's currently the best player in the league right now. Who could catch him over the next 5 years? Probably, I think Wemby is going to end up being in that conversation in the next 5 years if everything goes well for him in his recovery and he stays healthy. He's got the potential to be the best player in the league, but right now, as of today, it's Nikola Jokic. Stick around. We'll talk some UTRGV baseball. What the UTRGV baseball team's been doing, and it's been great. It's been great for them, but we'll talk about that after the break. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Welcome back to All In with Ali. Welcome back from the break. Let's talk about UTRGV baseball last week. And as of today, they are ranked number 1 in ratings percentage index. That's right. Our number one in the country in RPI at this point in the season, which to be fair, it's still quite early in the baseball season, but they've been on a really good run recently, starting with coming back from down 5-3 in the ninth inning on the road in Houston on Tuesday last week, going on to score 6 unanswered to take the win in comeback fashion. That was just incredible offensive showing which continued. The Vaqueros kept on swinging it well, going into the weekend series against New Orleans, which they swept on the road. UTRGV is undefeated in true road games and in conference play as of today, and the offense has been doing really well. The pitching has also held its end, and they've just been playing incredible baseball. According to 11.7, UTRGV is ranked 19th among mid-major teams in the country in week 4 of the season. And right now, they are the best team in the Southland Conference, being 6-0. That's the best winning percentage in the conference, and their pitching has been pretty well too, at 3.50 ERA as a pitching staff, ranked 31 in NCAA, ranked second in the Southland Conference. And they are swinging as well, 293 as a team, 87th in the country, and 4th in the Southland Conference. So great job. And in the process, head coach Derek Matlock collecting his 200th win. So congratulations to him and to the UTRGV baseball team. Keep on playing on. They will be returning home this week, so get out and watch them while you can. This team is on a great run right now, and they're hoping to keep it up this weekend as Nichols University comes to town for a 3-game set. First game is Friday and at 6:30. Saturday, next game at 6:30, and Sunday, that series will close out at noon. We'll talk some college hoops after the break. Conference championship week has begun, and we got a recap of the first leg of the UCL coming up in a later iteration, in a later segment. So we got all that for you, but don't touch that dial. You got to stay right here on Vaquero Radio. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Welcome back to All In with Ali. Let's talk some college hoops today. It's conference championship week, and we've already got 3 teams. That's right. We already know 3 of the teams that are going to be going to the big dance in the men's college basketball tournament. That's SIUE by winning the OVC Conference Championship, Omaha by winning the Summit League Conference Championship, and High Point in the Big South. These are 3 teams that will be going to March Madness for the very first time in program history, representing the 333rd, 34th, and 35th schools to ever compete in the big dance. This is what March is all about. I'm excited. I can't wait for it. The tournament in the Southland Conference has already begun. Yesterday in the men's tournament, A&M Corpus with a win over Northwestern State. That tournament is still going on right now. UTRGV is currently playing in the women's tournament. They just played their first game, losing to Nichols 55-53. They will be playing tomorrow at 1:30 against the 3-seeded Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks. That game is set to begin at 1:30. We already got also as well, going back to the men's tournament, we got 2 auto bids on the line today. Wofford versus Furman at 7 in the Southern Conference, and in the Sun Belt Conference, Arkansas State versus Troy. And there's so many possibilities. Anything can happen. It's March. I'm excited for it. Unfortunately, next week it is mean, fortunately, it's spring break next week, but unfortunately, I can't come back here and talk to you after Selection Sunday, which it's the best time of the best time in the college, one of the best days of the college sports calendar, and one of the best days on the sports calendar in general is Selection Sunday, where we all get to fill out brackets that get busted in the very first round. We all think, I thought this last year that I was being an absolute genius with my bracket. I was going in really like digging into the stats behind each team, thinking, would this matchup play better here? And my one mistake was I believed in Kentucky. And I had them going at least to the Sweet 16. They got bounced in the first round. And in fact, my bracket got busted on the very first game, as did many others. I think there was a stat like at least half of all brackets filled out got busted by that game, which it just goes to show you it's unpredictable. You really can't predict it. People have tried, and there's a reason no one's filled out a perfect bracket to this day. And I would love to be the first one to fill out a perfect bracket, but there's always going to be an upset in March Madness. It's just the nature of the sport. You just have to get really lucky in predicting the right upset, in predicting who's going to win. And in a huge tournament like in March Madness, it's just about impossible. But good luck to all of you who are going to be filling out brackets next week. Selection Sunday is, of course, this upcoming Sunday. We'll know who's in. We'll know who's not by then. And we'll have more for you when we come back once the tournament begins by the time we get back from spring break. Another tournament that's going on is the UEFA Champions League tournament, but we won't be talking about that until the next segment. In the meantime, stay tuned right here. You're listening to Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. We'll be taking a break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to All In with Ali. And we got the second leg of the UEFA Champions League this week, but let's talk about what happened in the first leg last week. Starting with who's playing tomorrow on Tuesday, that would be, of course, first game at 12:45 will be Barcelona versus Benfica. Barcelona's up 1-0 on aggregate. We all thought Lamine Yamal was gonna do what he usually does, but he hasn't yet. I still think he's gonna come through here, and besides, they're going back home to Barcelona, so I think this is going to be a good showing for the team and good showing for Yamal as well. I think Barcelona moves on to the next round in this one, already up 1-0 on aggregate, going back to playing in front of their own fans. That of course happens tomorrow at 12:45. Also happening tomorrow, Inter versus Feyenoord. I mean, Inter just played so well in their game against Feyenoord. And now going back to the San Siro, which is always, especially in the Champions League, is such a tough place to play. I think they hold on. They hold on here and take it. I think it'll probably be about 3-1 or 4-1 on aggregate, I'd say. Moving on then to Bayern versus Bayern Leverkusen. I mean, Harry Kane just That was just about as good of a performance you'll see out of Harry Kane. I think that would, despite the fact that they're going to Bayern, back to Leverkusen, I think Bayern hangs on and wins this on aggregate. They're already up 3-0. They played well in their last game. I think this is going to be one where they hang on for the win here. Going on to tomorrow's slate, I mean, Aston Villa, I was impressed by Aston Villa's performance on the road in their game. Conceding first and then going on to score 3. I think it was a great performance by the Villa. And now going back home into England up 3-1. I think think Villa moves on here. What I wanted to talk about here, Atletico versus Real, the Madrid derby. That was just an incredible game we saw last week. 3 incredible goals. First off, Rodrigo doing what he does within the first 4 minutes of the game. It looked like they were going to run away with it, but Julian Alvarez going back in to tie the game, and oh my God. Even as a Madrid fan, you gotta concede that goal was just beautiful. Perfect technique, striking just inside the post. Very well done by him. That tied the game, and then Brahim Diaz slicing through defenders and scoring an amazing goal. 3 great goals in front of a great atmosphere. Great Champions League night overall, and Madrid goes back to the Metropolitano, up a goal on aggregate. I think Madrid they started finding their rhythm towards the end. There were a couple of instances where they could have really added on to the lead, gone up 3-1 or even 4-1 on aggregate, but it's just Atletico's defense and Oblak in goal. That was enough to keep Atletico within a goal in this one. But I think Real hangs on and they take it and move on to the next round. Lille versus Dortmund, 1-1. This is really a toss-up. I think Dortmund moves on because I thought they were playing decent enough to start the game. They just conceded a terrible goal towards the end there. But Dortmund, I think they move on. I would say it's going to either be 2-1 or 3-2 on aggregate for Dortmund to move on. And then Arsenal versus PSV. Oh my God. This one I think was just a terrible game. 7-1 on aggregate. There's really no doubt who's going to move on here. I thought they were going to bring it a little closer. They were still down 3-1 going into the half, but I thought they were going to really find some momentum and at least, make it interesting, bring it to them. But no, that second half, they just PSV completely imploded. This was not the same team we saw during the league play or during the playoff round. This was not the same PSV, and it clearly showed. Just conceding terrible goal after terrible goal. Ugh. I don't even want to talk about this game because we already know who's going to move on. They're going back to the Emirates, up 7-1. It's pretty much this one's pretty much already. This was already decided in the first leg, pretty much. What happened on this day in sports history? Well, let me tell you exactly what happened on this day in sports history. On this day in 2022, Major League Baseball and the Players Association came to an agreement to end an extended lockout that had delayed the start of spring training, agreeing to play a full 162-game season. The start of that season was delayed, but they did play a full 162-game season, with the opening series being pushed towards later in the year. The Astros were supposed to play the Phillies opening day, but they didn't play them until the last series of the season. And even then, they were supposed to play the Phillies in the first few games, but I think they were also supposed to play the Yankees that first month. That got pushed back to a doubleheader. This sort of thing was very common across all of Major League Baseball. Several teams had to move their series back towards the end of the year or right around the All-Star break. But they were able to get a full 162-game season in. This did delay the playoffs. But this was also the first year of the current playoff format. And by the end of the season, we know the Astros won the World Series at the end of that year as the 1 seed, despite concerns that 1 seeds would not be ready to play full games by the time the wild card round ended. Just a bit of a sidebar on that. I don't understand the argument as to why getting an extended rest period is bad for playoff teams. I mean, the Dodgers were the 1 seed last year. They won the World Series. The Astros were the 1 seed in 2022 in the American League. They won the World Series that year as well. Really the only team So it was two 1 seeds and then a wild card team, and the Texas Rangers won it in 2023. I do get why that argument is made, but the Astros and the Dodgers were able to take care of business as 1 seeds. So I don't understand why, in effect, this is even a question, you know? What do we got coming up for us next week here on Vaquero Radio? At the conclusion of the show, this will be the last show of Monday. So we'll let you know what's going to go on before the end of spring break. On Tuesday at 4 o'clock, we have In the Know with Coleman Beck. On Wednesday, we got the newscast re-airing of Vaquero Radio's newscast at 11, and Coffee Noise from our Edinburgh studio at 1 o'clock. Thursday, we got a full slate of programming as always. Library Talk and everything else at 10 from our Brownsville studio. RGV Community Health, also from Brownsville at 11:30, and at 1 p.m. this week, we have a double feature for Vaquero Insider. In the Know, the hosts of In the Know with Coleman Beck will be featured as guests on Vaquero Insider, so be sure to tune in for that. And I know I will be tuning in. That should be a great program. And Friday, we will close out the week at 12 o'clock with Office Hours with Vaquero Radio's very own DJ Doc V. And that will close out the slate of programming until we come back from spring break. Hope all of you enjoy your break this coming week, Vaqueros. Good luck on those taking midterms this week. When we come back, we'll have more. We'll talk about what went down in the UEFA Champions League. We'll talk about some of the stories going into the start of the Major League Baseball season for spring training. We'll have some NBA for you as well. We'll have the Champions League, and we will have plenty to say about March Madness here at All In with Ali. So thank you all so much for tuning in today. No program next week, but we'll be back the week after at the conclusion of spring break. Good luck to all of you taking midterms out there this week. Hope all of you ace your tests and get those projects in and get those A's. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a great week. Enjoy your spring break. And as always, stay classy, UTRGV. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.